1410 and 105.3 FM.
Expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of Money Radio staff, management, or advertisers, and do not represent an offer to buy or sell any securities. Some interviews heard on this program may be sponsored by the participants. It's time for Health Futures with Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Health Futures. I'm your host, Bob Roth. And it is, of course, Friday, April 21st. And it is, whether you know it or not, it is National Healthcare Decisions Week. And we're almost at the end of the week because it's a week-long event that happens from April 16th to the 22nd. And I couldn't let this week go by without talking about National Healthcare Decisions Day. And before I jump into this and introduce our guests, this is the very first time you've heard our show. Health Futures is a show about how our older adult population can live a healthier, happier life. And how do we do it? We do it by bringing extraordinary guests here to the show. And we've been bringing this type of format to you for 4+ years now. And I'm really pleased to continue to bring some really engaging conversation that really talk about a lot of the issues that we all deal with every day. And aging is one that we deal with. And I will tell you, I've had the pleasure of hosting a number of great guests here to really talk about the challenges, whether they be disease-related, financial-related, emotionally-related, physically-related, you name it, family-related. We've talked about it here. And me being your host, I own and my family own a home care company, and our home care company is Cypress HomeCare Solutions. And what do? We enable our older adult population to be able to age successfully in place. And how do we do that? We do that through caregivers. We have about 200. They're extraordinary. These are people that give from the heart and really want to make a difference in somebody's life. And I, unfortunately, have the pleasure of attending a number of funerals, and I went to a service yesterday, and we lost a client, and this client was very special. And I will tell you, every one of the clients we serve is special, but this lady lived a fabulous life. And when you see somebody in their later 80s, and there are over 300 people there, you know that this is a very special person because she's outlived a lot of people, and she's touched a lot of lives, and that's why we do what we do. So I want to just get on with our show, and I could ramble forever talking about the work that we do, but I do want to just give a plug here. So if you are a caring spirit, somebody that wants to make a difference in somebody's life, or if you know of somebody that is like that, of a family friend, a neighbor, you name it, that has that innate ability to help and want to help somebody, have them call Cypress. We're always looking for great caregivers. And on the opposite end, if you know of somebody that needs some assistance, we advocate family first and friends. But if you can't find family and friends, or if you just need respite, we're here to help. So without further ado, I want to jump right in and introduce our guests that are here today. I've got sitting here in the studio with me, across from me, I've got Tiana Zang. I've known Tiana for probably close to 10 years now. She owns her own hospice company, and she's named it after her daughter, Sage Hospice, and she's the president of that company, started that company about 4 years ago?
4 years exactly.
4 years ago. Amazing, and I'm so proud of what you've accomplished in those 4 years. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Bob.
And then just to her right, my left, is Daniel Nunez, and he just walked into the studio. And you need to get a little closer to the mic.
Hello, hello.
And Daniel's with a elder law attorney law firm. He is a specialist at what he does, and that's the Jackson White Law Firm. So welcome to the show, Daniel.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Good to have you. And then just to his right, my left, is a repeat guest and a guest that contributes so much to the conversation, and that's one of the things we're going to talk about today. And that is Dr. Troy Comstock, who's the Chief Medical Officer for HomeCare Arizona. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bob.
Or should I say welcome back to the show?
Yeah, you bet.
So let's just jump into it, because before we know what this first segment's going to be done, I want to talk about National Healthcare Decisions Day. Like I said, it's the entire week. We need to talk about why this is so important.
Well, I'll tell you, Bob, thanks. One of the reasons why it's so important is because it's important for all of us, not just those who are of age, but for all of us to be intentional about what we want at the end of our lives, what we want done, how we want that to happen if it's under our control, who we want to have with us, and what type of care we would like to receive. So this is the time that we can take a pause nationally and start thinking about that. Not only thinking about it, but as you alluded to, start talking about it.
And it's not one conversation you have. It's an ongoing dialogue, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, these conversations, for some, are difficult. Studies have shown that 90% of us think that it's a great conversation to have, but only 30% of us have it. And so it's important that we, number one, start having the conversation and we continue it. You know, things change. Life happens, and maybe our decisions change or our family changes. So it's important for us to continue to have this conversation with our loved ones.
Absolutely. And, you know, I want to pause and just say that I had a conversation with one of our extraordinary caregivers today, and our caregiver has been with us for probably a good 4 years. Male caregiver, extraordinary. He's a pastor, and he used to have a parish, and he has been an extraordinary caregiver. Came in today to tell us that he was going to be stepping down because his wife is in her final stages. And, you know, I asked him about his wife and what she was going through, and she has pneumonia, and she's got some other issues too. And, you know, he was telling me that she was over at the Honor Health hospital, and that the doctors there said that, you know, they could trach her and they could do a couple other things to her. And he said, I chose not to. And I asked the very specific question. I said, in a couple hours, I'm going to be on the radio talking about National Healthcare Decision Day. Was that the decision your wife made? He goes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. We had living wills, and we made that. Mm-hmm. We had that discussion. Mm-hmm. And it's just so important for you to share with your loved ones when you can't speak, that they can speak for you.
Absolutely. You know, on the receiving end, I've had so many patients that have been in that situation that I've just met them when they've become very ill, and there hasn't been that conversation. And it's been incredibly stressful. And, you know, those are the things that we as family members that have loved ones that pass, that we have regrets, right? We have to live on. And that was the question, did we do the right thing? Well, when you have that conversation, you're assured.
And I want to just talk about this too with you, Troy, is that it's not just for old people.
Nope.
And I think so many people think that that's what it's supposed to be. It's just for old people. And, you know, I have 3 daughters, and I've talked about it here on the show, and I have them sign advance directives because I got 2 of them that live out of state. And the fact is that, God forbid, if something were to happen to them, first of all, if they're 18 or older and they're in a hospital and you want to find out how they're doing, just because you're the mom or dad, they don't have to tell you.
Right.
And Daniel, you probably can chime in on that because, I mean, that's something your firm does.
Absolutely. You know, I'm 50 years old, and for the past, I got my power of attorneys done when I was 40. And I've changed my mind maybe 5 times in the past 5 years. You know, I just think that as you age and you get smarter and you ask more questions, and thank God I'm in the industry, that I've learned through my clients' concerns, their lives. You know, my family themselves, you know, my grandmother and my mother are both RNs. They both have passed on. But, you know, they were afraid to have this discussion. You know, I call them courageous conversations because no one wants to have them. You know, I think my grandmother, her fear was that she was afraid that she was going to lose her voice.
Right.
If I give you my voice and you're my agent, I lost my voice. And in actuality, you have gained it. You have made your voice much stronger because you have these power of attorneys, because I have been picked the right agent, and I'm going to make those decisions for your family.
That's a great point.
Well, we got a little music playing. We're going to be taking us out on the first segment, and I do want you to know we're going to come back and we're going to talk about National Healthcare Decisions Day, but I want to talk about how to have this conversation. And Dr. Comstock, you might be able to help us with that, and Daniel, especially you, and Tiana, being in the hospice business and being a healthcare professional as long as you have, you may be able to help us as well in terms of giving some tips to our listeners to sit down and have that very beginning of the conversation and making sure that our loved ones' wishes are definitely realized. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. We're coming at you live from the Scottsdale Airpark. We're down one segment. We got 3 to go. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hey, Money Radio listeners, this is Gary Kalbaum. Make sure you tune in for my show, Investor's Edge. You'll get my take on the markets and the world and what to look out for tomorrow. Investor's Edge is one of Money Radio's longest-running shows, so don't miss it.
You can listen to Investor's Edge Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. here on Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM.
The Marine Corps Law Enforcement Foundation has raised over $71 million since 1995 to help families of fallen Marines and federal law enforcement. On Friday, May 12th, they'll have their 13th annual golf tournament. 7 Medal of Honor recipients will be in attendance. Not a golfer? Join the Marine Corps Law Enforcement Foundation May 11th at the American Legion in Cave Creek at 6 p.m. for a meet and greet with the Medal of Honor recipients. For more information, go to mclefaz.org.
It's estimated that 87% of baby boomers will own a home in retirement, with over 68% still carrying a mortgage. Is that the smartest choice for your retirement portfolio? Join Rob Gagner of Fairway Mortgage Saturday, April 1st, 9 a.m. for a breakfast workshop to learn about reverse mortgage's new potential benefits, including better cash flow, lower taxes, and the ability to increase your net worth. Call 602-REVERSE. That's 602-REVERSE.
Napa know-how. Why buy the dual cam sports action and dash camera from Napa for $69.99? Because it's the only dash cam that's also an everything else cam. So you can record yourself being safe on the road or attach it to your helmet for dirt biking off-road. Because like this camera, you're a double threat. The dual cam sports action and dash camera for only $69.99. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating Napa Auto Parts stores. Offer expires 4/30/17.
It's the final days of Mattress Firm's once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get savings of a lifetime, like up to 70% off Tempur-Pedic, Sealy, and more, only at Mattress Firm.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and we're on our second segment. So if you missed the first segment, you can catch it right up on our website at cypresshomecare.com. Click on the radio button, the media button, and you'll be able to catch the first segment and about probably 150 or 160 others that we've been bringing to you. And if you're just tuning in right now, I've got Dr. Troy Comstock. He's the Chief Medical Officer for Optum Care Arizona. I've got Daniel Nunez. He is with the folks from Jackson White, and you are Director of
Elder Care. I'm a social worker.
A social worker. There you go.
Yes.
And then I got Tiana Zang, who has her very own hospice company named after her daughter called Sage Hospice.
That's right.
Thank you for being on the show. So, Dr. Comstock, I want to pivot right back to you and talk about the need and the importance to memorialize your wishes. And when we broke from the last segment, Daniel was contributing his own specific personal situation, and that is, he did it at 40, now that he's 50. I mean, how frequently should we be visiting this? First of all, we need to do it.
Right. Yeah, that's the first part. You're absolutely right. And what's great about weeks like this is that we can hold each other accountable. It doesn't necessarily have to be during this week, but around our office, we intentionally ask, hey, do you have your advance directive in place? Do you have your power of attorney? Of course, we're not strangers; we're friends, so it's not too awkward. But I appreciate you calling that out, because it really is for any age, and holding ourselves accountable is really important to the process.
And I've talked about it here on the show, and that any age thing is something that no one really thinks about.
No, it doesn't. No,
and if you're listening in and you've got a child that's over 18, I've got 2 of them in college, and they don't live here, you should really think about making sure you have them. When you have them over home this summer, you should make sure that you sit down and have these done. Now, I understand, and you may know better than I do, that you don't have to go hire an attorney, although we recommend you do that. Right. Daniel will vouch for that. But the information is available. I know it's available on the Attorney General's website, right, because I'm on their task force against senior abuse. I think it's on the Secretary of State's website as well. Right. So you can access this. So it's not something that you can't say, well, I don't have the money, I can't afford it.
They're free.
They're free. And it's just a matter of making sure your intentions and your wishes are known.
Absolutely.
I mean, what do they say? Is it 2 or 3 things that are guaranteed in life? I think it's 2. What's it? Death and taxes, right?
That's only 2 I know.
And you know what? Maybe there's a reason why they did Healthcare Decisions Day the week of tax week. Because this has been a very painful week. At least for us to have had to write some checks, right?
Absolutely. Big week.
It is a big, big week. Why I have you here, Troy, can you tell us a little bit about what is OptumCare and what do you guys do?
Yeah, thank you, Bob. Yeah, we at OptumCare Arizona, we are a group of 1,100 primary care physicians, around 3,500 specialists, and hospitals, as well as skilled nursing facilities that have the privilege of helping to manage the health care of around 100,000 Medicare beneficiaries in Maricopa County. And we do that with a lot of resources. We bring a lot of healthy, interactive resources with our community centers. We have 3 of them here in town, as well as what we call a multidisciplinary, proactive approach to healthcare, that including social work, nurses, pharmacists, medical directors, community health workers. It takes a village, especially for some of those with highest needs. So that's why we really want to be intentional about making sure that people have this conversation to make sure that their needs are identified and met and their wishes are held to.
So I think there's a misnomer out there that OptumCare is a health plan, and it sounds like it's so much more than that. And let's, the communities that you're talking about, and you and I have had this conversation before, and for our listening audience that isn't aware of it, you got 3 locations, and I know you've got one right up there. Is it Deer Valley? Right?
Yep, there's a Deer Valley location around 27th Avenue and the 101. There's one in Goodyear and one in Chandler just around Sun Lakes.
So you're not just going in there if you're not healthy. You're promoting people to be healthy. You have exercise classes.
Absolutely.
You have, I know you have the Brain Savers program going there. You've got a lot. It's really robust. And I'm going to steal your thunder because it's not just for those people that are part of OptumCare.
That's right.
If you live in those communities, you can just go.
That's right. And it is a true community center, and we're proud of that. We really want to have that holistic approach to health for all, not just our members.
And do you have to be 65? Because Daniel's not 65.
No, I don't know a way to let Daniel in, but you don't have to say. I'm just kidding. I'm just
not
kidding.
Even if you were 65.
Yeah, no. He's more than welcome. I'm sure he'd have a great time.
So to find out more about OptumCare, I know you can go to your website, right?
Yeah, that's probably the best place is OptumCare.com.
OptumCare, and that's OptumCare.com. Or you can call 866-339-3755. As we get ready to close our second segment, I want to really, send off this segment really talking about the importance of memorializing our intentions and our wishes. And I think too many times, and I look over at Tiana, especially those that are on hospice, a lot of times those wishes aren't granted, and sometimes those people come to you where they may not be able to have a voice. So you see that a lot.
I see that a lot, and I'll tell you, the most, regrets was brought up earlier. And I think that's what it is. I think that children, grandchildren, family members have this automatic fear of not doing the right thing, of not keeping them alive. But what I always say to them is, imagine your father, your brother, whoever we're looking at 20 years ago in a healthy body, looking at himself right now. What would he ask you to do? Mm-hmm. And so you can't say, the will to live and the want to live is very different than the parameters that are given on us on this physical body. Right. There's a time and place, our birth is designed, our death is designed. Our job at hospice and all these providers that are here is to make it as peaceful and comfortable as possible. So one of the biggest gifts that was given to me, I was in my early 20s when both my parents fell ill and passed away. And the best gift they gave to us as kids was to have their advanced directives in place. Mm-hmm. Because none of us in our 20s wanted to let go of our parents. Mm-hmm. But we didn't have to make those decisions. We just honored their choices. And we reminded each other of that. And it was beautiful.
It is beautiful. And I got to tell you, look, I had the opportunity to have a pastor and a rabbi here in the studio. And I asked both of them, first of all, when I had them on, it was Rabbi Stephen Kahn and Dr. Chervinsky from Chaparral Church. And, when I had them on, I talked about, a scenario. Somebody that was 94 years old that was, on near end of life. And do you pray for a miracle? Or do you pray for peace? And that's a really hard thing to do. And both of them unanimously said, you pray for both. Mm-hmm. Because you don't want to give up hope. But at the same time, we have to be realistic. And we have to realize, what is it that person wants? Mm-hmm. And having that conversation, it's not one conversation. It's an ongoing dialogue. And I send this message out to our listening audience. When you get home tonight and you're sitting around the table or over the weekend, reach out to your loved ones, and they don't have to be elderly. They can be your children that are over 18 years old, and find out what their intentions are. Mm-hmm. Find out, do they want to be, using, life-saving measures to keep them alive? Like my caregiver, mm-hmm. when that doctor said, well, we can trach her and we can do this, but, we're never going to be able to take the trach out. And he's like, she wouldn't want that. Mm-hmm. So we need to have those dialogues and those conversations. Well, I want to thank you, Dr. Comstock. I really appreciate you being on the show. And
it's my privilege.
And if you have any final comments that you would like to share with us as we close the first half, that would be great. And for our listening audience, Dr. Comstock needs to run, so I'm gonna give you the final 30 seconds.
Wow. Okay. No, I would just again thank you for letting me participate in the conversation. I would just ask that everyone take away from this conversation the intention. As I said, be intentional about thinking about what you want in your last days of life. And then go and have that conversation. And I know that Bob plans to give you some resources to do that, because that's a daunting task for some of us. So I think it pays off to have a script, have some way to go and have that conversation with someone.
Well, we'll talk a little bit about that in the third segment. But as you hear the music winding up, we're getting ready to close. It's halftime here at Health Futures, April 21st. We're coming at you live from the Scottsdale Air Park. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
As we reach the bottom of the hour, we pause for a look at the world's news. Then we're back with Money Talk. We're Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM.
Congress gets to work on a spending plan when lawmakers return from spring break next week, with a deadline looming to prevent the federal government from shutting down. White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer.
The Office of Management and Budget, as required, is taking routine steps to prepare in the unlikely case that there's a lapse in appropriations next week following the continuing resolution.
President Trump signing executive orders calling for a re-examination of some Obama-era financial regulations. says he will have a major tax reform announcement next week. Sales of existing homes have hit the fastest pace in a decade. National Association of Realtors Chief Economist Lawrence June.
The sales activity essentially up 5% in the first quarter, and home prices continuing to show a solid performance in the month of March, up close to 7% from 1 year before.
On Wall Street, the Dow down 17 points, the S&P 500 off 6. I'm Ann Cates.
Did you know that RingCentral is the business phone system behind some of the fastest growing companies? Why RingCentral? Because it's a phone system in the cloud that easily grows with your company. Old phone systems are a mess of wires and cables. Adding an employee or office means figuring out that mess, which takes time a fast-moving business doesn't have. RingCentral gives you a new, better way. Easily add employees and offices. Make any device act like a corporate phone, even your own cell phone. Visit ringcentral.com to see how.
This is Charles Osgood. Over 3 million businesses use Indeed.com for hiring, and independent research shows 5 times more hires are made through Indeed than any other job site. By creating the easiest, most effective hiring experience, Indeed helps businesses find great new people every day. Right now, Indeed is giving new users a $50 credit to post a sponsored job on the world's #1 job site. Claim your credit at Indeed.com/offer. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Hi, I'm Johnny Dean.
And I'm Rick the Professor Plum.
Every day on Bucket Strategy Investing, we're talking about financial planning, investment decisions, and retirement strategies.
We focus on wealth education and the strategy designed for the needs you have today
and the goals you have for the future. Tune in to Bucket Strategy Investing.
And call in with questions.
Retirement strategies, taxes, Social Security, and more. That's what we're talking about on Bucket Strategy Investing.
Get up early and get the jump on everybody else by serving yourself some business for breakfast. Weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. here on Money Radio.
Arizona investment property experts are now your Mexico investment property experts. Join investment property experts for an informative Investing in Mexico real estate workshop. Learn about investing in Puerto Peñasco, Mexico, and how you can earn a net 15% annual return. IPX's crown jewel in Mexico is the Esmeralda Resort, located on Sandy Beach in Puerto Peñasco, Mexico. Puerto Peñasco is the popular beach getaway known as Rocky Point. Only 3.5 hours away from Phoenix, Arizona, this is the perfect investment and vacation opportunity for you. As an investor, you will not only earn 15%, but you will have access to numerous investment projects. Currently, we are offering Esmeralda investors discounted lots, houses, and condos that can be purchased and flipped. And best of all, everything is 100% turnkey. With the home port commencing construction this year and its planned completion in 2019, this project will be a big boost to the economy and investment real estate in Rocky Point. Learn more by attending an informative workshop. Call 602-254-6244 or visit ArizonaInvestmentPropertyExperts.com.
Hi, this is Ken from Online Trading Academy Phoenix. For a fresh take on the news and your money, check out The Right Side of the Trade, noon Thursdays and Saturdays on Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM. To understand how the markets really work, come to a free Online Trading Academy half-day class. When you come out, you'll also get a tablet with access to additional online courses at no charge. For free tickets, call 8448-INCOME. That's 844-846-2663 now.
Do you really know the score regarding your personal finances? Your credit score, that is. Many consumers tend to sit on the bench and don't have all the facts about personal credit reports. But the National Foundation for Credit Counseling wants you to get in the game, review your credit report, and understand how to improve it. Federal law entitles you to one free credit report from each of the main credit reporting agencies each year, and ordering just one is not enough. You need to see if there are any differences among the 3 major credit reporting agencies. Fixing mistakes can go a long way toward improving your credit score and improving your financial health. You need to request the reports either online, by phone, or by mail, and again, they're available free of charge. The National Foundation for Credit Counseling can help request your credit report and explain what it all means. Their certified counselors can also advise you on sound financial practices that can help improve your score. For more information about credit reports, call the NFCC at 1-800-388-2227. This has been a public service message from the NFCC.
Do you have questions about your retirement, such as, when will I be able to retire? How do I make the most of the money I have? How can I leave a lasting legacy to my loved ones? If so, you're not alone. As an Ameriprise financial advisor, Wayne Candace can help you find the answers with the exclusive Confident Retirement Approach. Wayne will work with you one-on-one to understand your goals and discuss the 4 key needs of retirement, including covering your essentials, ensuring lifestyle, preparing for the unexpected, and leaving a legacy. From there, he'll work with you to develop a retirement roadmap with clear steps you can take to help you live more confidently today and tomorrow. Call Wayne today at 480-922-4215. Office is located at 16220 North Scottsdale Road, Suite 250, Scottsdale, Arizona 85254. The Confident Retirement Approach is not a guarantee of future financial results. Investment advisory products and services are made available through Ameriprise Financial Services, Inc., a registered investment advisor.
Are you hiring? Join the over 3 million businesses that use Indeed.com for hiring. Post your next job opening on the world's #1 job site, Indeed.com.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. And it is April 21st, and it's Friday, and we're coming at you live from the Scottsdale Air Park. And we just said goodbye to Dr. Troy Comstock. He is with Optum Care Arizona, the Chief Medical Officer, and he's been a return visitor to us. And he wanted to take the moment to really talk about National Health Care Decision Day. And this is National Health Care Decision Week, and it is from April 16th to the 22nd. And it's a time where we pause and really take account on the people that we love and making sure that they understand, as Dr. Comstock said, intentionally understand what our intentions are, what we want, what our wishes are, so that they can be able to carry out those wishes when we can't speak for ourselves. And I think we had some great dialogue. And if you're just tuning in, go up to our website. You can catch the first 2 segments. And we had a lot of banter and discussion over this. And, you know, it's not an easy discussion to have. And as I shared with our listening audience in our first segment, that it's not just one conversation. It's a continuing dialogue. And I know that Daniel's sitting here to my left, and he is with the great law firm of Jackson White, and they do this for a living, and they've got a lot of experience at this. And, you know, Daniel, you know, help us go through this. You know, who should we be having this conversation with?
Right,
and
right.
How do we go about doing this?
Well, number one, I believe that, let me talk a little bit about my family, because my family, we're in the industry and we've made a lot of mistakes. So let me just begin by saying that when my grandmother asked me to be her agent, I ignored her. In my mind, I thought my grandmother was going to live forever, and I dismissed her. So I'm hoping that the audience will know that if your agent wants to ignore you because he's not ready to have that conversation, I would remind them it's important. Don't let it go. Don't let them dismiss you. You know, we all have feelings, and when you're talking about end of life, it's pretty scary. And my mother, who was also a nurse, was afraid to even look at the paperwork because she was afraid to die. And she's in the nurse. So I can't imagine some layperson who doesn't understand having to make this decision. So when I talk to families, I always say when you're picking your agent, it's important to pick it not out of obligation. Often at times, families pick their eldest son because he will get mad if you don't pick him. It's not the right reason.
Right.
It's not the right reason at all. I had one woman tell me, I have to pick my son. And I said, okay, let's talk about this. There was some hesitation to her. She started off by saying, you know, he's a financial planner. Well, that's good. He's good with money. Actually not. He declared bankruptcy. He was always stealing money from her. And I told her I didn't think that was the appropriate agent for her. You know, my job isn't to make decisions for families. And by the way, when families call me, they're talking to me. It's in confidence, and it's also free. I'm a social worker for the law firm. I'm here to give families hope. I'm hoping that I can give him structure so that then when they're navigating on this path, they're making the best decisions for their home and their family member. Your power of attorneys give you a line for 2 names. Take advantage of these 2 names. I actually have Tiana as my secondary.
Hey, there you go.
You know, I've had some changes in my life. You know, I am now involved. I'm not single anymore. So about 6 years ago, I made some new changes, and I think it was about a year ago that I asked you, Tiana?
Yes, you did. And it was a really powerful conversation. And it's not because we're friends, and it's not for anything else, but it was a little bit about bias. So when you're choosing your healthcare agent, there's a couple of things. I love how you said don't choose your agent out of obligation, Daniel, because we see it happen all the time.
Every day.
And you have the other daughter who actually was there with the mother every single day, caring for them, having those conversations, but they elected the firstborn or they elected this one because they wouldn't get mad. And that wasn't the one that the parent was having those conversations with.
Right.
So when Daniel chose me as his second agent, it was a funny conversation, but it was a real conversation. The reason he chose me is because he knows what I do for a living, and that is hospice care, and that is compassionate, kind, palliative care, where I don't believe in a lot of aggressive measures. And so that doesn't mean that we don't do some things. You get an infection, you get antibiotics, things like that. But I've seen people live a long time on ventilators and tracheostomies and dialysis. And if they, you know, if you're elderly, if you have multi-system failures, if you have several disease processes, it's not the way to go. So I really think that we had a heart-to-heart conversation about, well, if I get this, then do this. And so he knew that me, obviously being his friend, but not being his partner, could step out a little bit emotionally and make those decisions that maybe somebody too close can't.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, I struggled with this, you know, because it was hard for me to start the conversation with her because she's my best friend. And just because she's my best friend doesn't mean you have a dialogue. But I finally realized something that was really important to me. When I was my grandmother's, my Nana's agent, she had told me there's going to be a surgeon, a specialist that's going to come into the hospital room and it's going to say, if I put your grandmother on a ventilator, I can save her. She told me, no way. I've lived a beautiful life. Let me go. I thought about that because when that moment happened, and it literally did, my whole family around my grandmother heard me tell the doctor, go away. My family was not privy to that conversation. So immediately they name called, I'm a murderer. It took literally about 3 years to get over that moment because they didn't understand why I said go away to the physician who could save our grandmother. But that wasn't my grandmother's wishes. My grandmother's wishes, let me go. I really, when I talk to families every day, I let them know, please have the dialogue with the complete family. Because what should have been a beautiful moment was not. What should have been a moment to protect Daniel, because Daniel didn't want to shush the doctor away. I mean, my grandmother was my life, but it wasn't about me. It was about her wish and not what I wanted or my family. So when you pick an agent, the reason why I picked Tiana is I believe that it's going to be emotional, but I believe that she's going to stand strong and say, this is what my friend Daniel Nunez wanted, and I'm going to stand firm. And I don't care about the name calling from his friends. The decision was to either let him go or keep him alive.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
It really is that simple. And it's wonderful. I knew you guys were friends. I didn't realize you were that close.
Yeah.
Best friends. I mean, seriously. And I will tell you, that is a really important responsibility to bestow into somebody. And you know what? Daniel, I agree with you. I mean, I think it's harder when you're emotionally involved. And, you know, whether you have a spouse, a partner, whatever, I mean, they love you so much that they don't want to let you go.
Let you go.
That's right.
And that's really, really, you know, the reality of it is you got to make sure as you're picking those people.
Right.
It's not necessarily birth order. If it's your life, you want to make sure it's that person that can carry out your wishes.
Right.
And you know that Tiana can do that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, pick that person that can carry out your wishes, and then have that conversation with the rest of your family.
Right.
You know, this is why I chose that person. These are the things I discussed, so that it's not a surprise. You know, as a hospice provider, I cannot tell you, I've had somebody, you know, because hospice isn't just the last days or weeks. We have patients with us for a year or two. Sometimes we have a patient for 6 or 8 months that stabilize and get better.
Right.
So, we'll have a patient on service with us for a month or two, and then a family member will come in from out of town, and they'll say, whoa, why is she on hospice? Why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? and that conversation wasn't happened. And most of the time, we can get in there, with our wonderful social work team and nurses and handle that. But there are times where that whole plan goes out the window because one person came in and they weren't informed. And they cause a big enough ruckus out of love. Right. It doesn't mean that they're doing it, for any other reason. But they cause enough ruckus that the plan of that person is disrupted.
It's funny because I thought we were the only ones that had those family members that lived out of town and disrupted everything.
Just you.
It's just you. It happens to all of us.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. They really are. And I mean, I think as providers of these types of services, whether you're a law firm or a hospice company or even home care company, we deal with real issues.
Yep.
And, we live in a destination location where not all the adult children live here.
That's right.
And we got to make sure, as they are our clients, that everyone's on the same page. I know you ask the same question we do. When we engage services, we ask them, do you have advance directives? Mm-hmm. We don't ask to see them, but we ask them, do you have them, and where are they? Should we need them? Mm-hmm. And that's really, really important. It's hard to believe we got another segment down. We got another one coming up. We got a little Chicago taking us out.
Okay.
Daniel, Chicago,
I know them.
You know them. There you go.
I finally know someone that you're talking about.
All right. Well, listen, you're listening to Health Futures Taking Stock in You. We're talking about having the conversation. We're going to talk about in the fourth segment some of the resources that are out there. We'll be right back.
Bill Gunderson's nationwide Best Stocks radio show is coming soon to Money Radio. Every morning between 9 and 10 a.m., starting May 1st, professional money manager Bill Gunderson will talk about the economy, markets, and Best Stocks Now. Bill Gunderson is also the inventor of the Best Stocks Now app and the writer of the weekly Best Stocks Now newsletter. If you like to invest in the markets, this is the show for you. You will not want to miss one episode. Visit GundersonCapital.com for more info. That's GundersonCapital.com.
Get total freedom in your life safely and quickly. Build wealth and passive income so you never worry about working till you drop, losing your job, or retiring in poverty. Hi, I'm Steve Davis, an investor in thousands of units over the years. Now it's your turn. Del Walmsley has been my mentor for nearly 25 years, and he's taught over 100,000 people just like you the principles of financial freedom through live one-on-one mentoring at Lifestyles Unlimited and his national radio show. I'm excited to tell you about the real estate workshop that changed my life. The workshop gets you on the inside of what we do and what we believe and unlocks the 5 ways we make money in real estate. Just like your personal trainer, Lifestyles Unlimited will motivate, encourage, and teach you so you can get in the best financial shape of your life. Call 866-971-8970 or go to luiphoenix.com. That's luiphoenix.com to register for the workshop that will change your life and let you stop worrying about working till you drop, losing your job, or retiring in poverty.
It's here, the biggest flooring event of the year. Lumber Liquidators' 14th annual April sale with 5 days of once-in-a-lifetime prices on top-quality North American and European laminate from 49 cents. Pre-finished hardwood from just $1.19. Bamboo from $1.39. Get wood look waterproof floors from 59 cents. Limited time deals on small lots from 29 cents and more. Plus special financing. Don't miss it. New deals added daily. Get to the April sale at Lumber Liquidators today.
It's all the genuineness of an In-N-Out burger times 2. The In-N-Out Double Double. Double meat, double cheese, double fresh. Come taste the difference at In-N-Out Burger.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. I'm your host, Bob Roth. And if you're just tuning in, we are talking about having that very important conversation. We're on our 4th segment. We've done 3 already. You can catch them up on our website at cypresshomecare.com. But we're talking about National Healthcare Decisions Day. And before we jump right back into it, I need to give a big plug to an event that's happening today that I am very fortunate to be emceeing. I am a part of the organizing committee, the Ambassador Organizing Committee. I've talked about it here on our show. It's called Aging 2.0. And basically, it is It is a movement that is happening where the older adult population and technology and innovations collide. So we have the Startup Challenge. This is our second year. Last year we had 120 people in attendance. We're expecting about 200 today. And it is being held down at ASU Skysong at 1475 North Scottsdale Road. It's in the Skysong Synergy 1. And you can catch it at 3:30 is when we kick it off. We've got 6 contestants. We got 5 judges. And if you can envision, it's kind of like Shark Tank. But each one has 6 minutes to pitch. Our winner last year was silvernest.com. They won, I believe it was $1,000 here, and then they finished second overall in the national contest. And that was incredible because there's 50 chapters across the world, and we represent one right here in Phoenix. And I truly believe, and I talk about it very often, innovations, public policy is going to help us save our older adult population. And we know that technology won't replace people, but we know that assistive devices, assistive technologies, monitors, you name it, will help us. So Aging 2.0, Global Startup Search, this afternoon, 3:30, ASU Skysong. If you want to learn more about it, you're welcome to give us a call at 602-264-8009. We'll fill you in a little more details. But I want to give that a plug. I'm heading over there in a couple hours, and we should have a great turnout. Let's jump right back into the conversation. Tiana.
Yes.
So resources. When you get contacted and you know that they don't have advanced directives, obviously you'll call your friend, Daniel, and say, look, I have a client that might need some help. But there are other resources out there, aren't there?
There are absolutely resources. As you mentioned, the websites earlier do have the advanced directives that they can print out on their own. Also, Jackson White on their website does have, and so I navigate a lot of people over to Jackson White just to print them off. One of the things that I like about working with Daniel is that it's not about always engaging these clients. He helps everybody. He doesn't ask if they have money or not. He doesn't ask, are they going to engage my attorneys? He just helps. Right. And so I send a lot of people to the website to print those off. Personally, one of the things that we've done at Sage Hospice that has been different is we made every one of our social workers a notary so that they can, every one of our social workers
Did not know that.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
It's huge. And so every one of our social workers can go out and notarize these documents so that they don't have to engage an attorney if that's simply all that they need to do. We're very comfortable having these conversations. We're very comfortable, doing the basis form and then doing the handwritten specifics on the side. Right. We will notarize them for you. And Daniel, maybe you can talk a little bit about that. On the medical power of attorney, that can be done without a notary. Is that correct?
Correct.
And tell us how that.
Correct. So a couple of things here. So the medical power of attorney does not need a notary. However, if you are an individual that travels and you go state to state, I would recommend you get them notarized. Because if you're traveling and on vacation in Colorado and sadly something happens to you, the physician is going to respect the Arizona power of attorney because you notarized it. Every state differs. So we have to make sure that we are aware. If you're traveling, get them notarized. My theory is this. The financial power of attorney and the mental health power of attorney have to get notarized. So why not just get the HealthCare notarized? You're there anyway. Yep. It's going to take an additional 10 minutes. Might as well. I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Sure. I agree. I agree. I mean, you might as well do that. And, you gave some great resources, Tiana. And going back to what we talked about in the first, second, and third segment is really how to have the conversation. Another great resource, and it's a website, and it's a movement as well, kind of like the Aging 2.0 movement. It's called the Conversation Project. And, go to theconversationproject.org. And it's spelled THE, Conversation Project. And they give you ways to have this conversation. It's a really, really robust resource site when it really talks about how to have this conversation, how to get the conversation started. Because getting it started is not easy. And
not easy at all.
Well, you gave us a great example with your grandmother. Right. I mean, nobody, and my mother-in-law, if she's listening right now, she doesn't want to talk about it.
Right.
Yep.
She, in a lot of ways, is still like a child, and she's like, if I don't talk about it, then I don't have to think about it.
It won't happen.
And it's not going to happen.
Yep.
And it's funny because I read a book. I actually did a listening book, Audible, and I recommend it. It's by Billy Crystal, and he does the narration. It's called Still Fooling 'Em. And he says in it, he goes, no one wants to consider their own mortality. And, in the back of your mind, you're thinking that you're going to be the one that gets away with it. You're going to be the one that God, like a bouncer at a nightclub, is going to let slip by. It doesn't work that way. For anyone, in fact, that thinks that they might be that one to get slipped by, every single person now is sitting living in a cemetery. So,
Yep.
I mean, the fact is that we're all not going to get out of this world, alive. I mean, we know death and taxes, and we know we need to have this conversation.
Yeah, and where I see a big catalyst for change is within the families that I get to serve. So I'll have a patient on service, and then there's children, grandchildren, nieces, and nephews. And that's when we really have an opportunity to look at them and say, have these conversations now. You talk about home care. You talk about placement. A lot of people get in these situations, and they don't know what to expect. They don't have the correct finances. They don't have the correct paperwork in place. They don't have the correct insurance. So that's a big opportunity for families to look at each other and say, we need to do this now. I hate for it to get that way, because that's already mean there's been a crisis situation. So don't let it get that way. There's so many resources. And for younger people out there that you're doing this, I love, Bob, that you're encouraging younger people to do it. We should all have it. My cousins think I'm so morbid because I'm always asking them about it and what are they going to do. But it's so important. And then you go to your bank. You go to, anywhere it's got a notary.
Right.
So just bring them there.
Absolutely, or any one of your people has a notary.
All of my people.
And there's also traveling notaries, too, for those folks that can't leave the home because of your family member cannot leave.
Sure.
You can Google traveling notary and put in your zip code. I would probably recommend don't spend more than $60, but they come to your home, take care of you, and then that way you're taken care of.
Well, listen, I want to part because we're wrapping things up. Daniel, if anyone in our listening audience needs to reach you and your firm, how do they do that?
They can call my mobile, 480-422-0979, and for a free consultation.
And how about Tiana? Anyone want to talk to you about, hospice, healthcare notary? They need one of your notaries. How do they reach you?
Absolutely. Our main office number is 480-777-5117. And you can also go to the website at www.sagehospice.org.
And by the way, Sage is named after our beautiful 14-year-old daughter.
Yep.
Proud of you. Very proud of you.
Thank you so much.
It's hard to believe it. We're done our show. Make it a great day. Come on down to Aging 2.0 at ASU Sky Song. We'll be back next Friday. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
There's no place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress Home Care Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit CypressHomeCare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 105.3 FM.
The Marine Corps Law Enforcement Foundation has raised over $71 million since 1995 to help families of fallen Marines and federal law enforcement. On Friday, May 12th, they'll have their 13th annual golf tournament. 7 Medal of Honor recipients will be in attendance. Not a golfer? Join the Marine Corps Law Enforcement Foundation May 11th at the American Legion in Cave Creek at 6 p.m. for a meet and greet with the Medal of Honor recipients. For more information, go to mclefaz.org.
Money Radio 1510
and 105.3 FM.
Is KFNN Mesa Phoenix and K287BX Mesa. If you're not feeling fully confident in your retirement plans, then do what you've been doing, listening to Money Radio, the great ideas place. Right now, the Dow's down 11 points, 20,567. The S&P down 4, 2351. NASDAQ down 3, 5913.
When people want to talk about money, this is the place they come to. And there's more on the way after this break for the latest news. And we begin now.